Earlier this month, this magazine called Sight and Sound, it asked some of the greatest filmmakers today to come up with their own list of their top 10 favorite films of all time. Directors like Scorsese, Bong Joon-ho, George Miller, some of the filmmakers that we all love. And as a cinephile, as someone who loves movies, it's always exciting to see these lists of people who you look up to. One thing is you want to see if your taste matches theirs, how many favorite films that you have in common with your favorite director. And the second thing is, whatever you've not watched from that list, they become new recommendations for you to watch. And since RRR is also getting nominated and winning awards left, right and center, until now it got 46 nominations and 13 awards, including getting nominated for 2 Golden Globes and winning the New York Film Critics Award for Top Film and Best Director. So since all of this is happening and because the buzz for the Oscars is being created, and since he's one of India's most iconic filmmakers, Rajamouli was also asked to create his own list, and this was his list. Forrest Gump, one of my favorite films of all time, Maya Bazaar, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Kung Fu Panda, Aladdin, Braveheart, Apocalypto, Ben-Hur, Django Unchained, my favorite Tarantino film ever, and The Lion King. I think there's a problem here. Wait, don't get me wrong, I don't mean there's a problem with this list, but there's a problem with the reaction that this list is getting. For example, there's this cinephile and author called Asim Chabra. He quoted Rajamouli's list and he said, "This filmmaker won the Best Director award at New York Film Critics Circle. Look at his number 1 and number 10 pick." Basically, he's pointing out at Forrest Gump and Lion King and saying that how can a director who likes such massy, commercial, sentimental, big scale, extreme popular films deserve to win such awards? See, I don't mean to single out Asim Chabra. I have nothing against him. He's free to express his own opinion. But I just feel that this man's opinion is a representation of many cinephiles, many people who are supposed to love cinema. And I just want to highlight 3 problems that are there with the thinking of cinephiles. Number 1. This is a very personal list. If you're watching this video, it's most likely that you've grown up watching a lot of films, and maybe certain films have affected you more deeply than other films. Some films, no matter where they come from, they become part of your DNA and everything you do and every kind of film you like after that. For example, Lion King. When I watched it for the first time, I was less than 5 years old or something, and that film impacted me so deeply that I don't know why, but I was obsessed with it. I used to have this Lion King jacket that I used to wear everywhere, and it's such a beautifully constructed story, and there are these certain scenes, for example when Mufasa dies, it gets you every single time. And that's the same thing with Forrest Gump. I watched it when I was much younger, and for some reason, whenever I'm feeling overwhelmed, whenever I'm feeling tensed or overburdened in life, I just switch on Forrest Gump and somehow it gives me this little hope to keep going. The power of a particular film is not just the story and screenplay. That is of course one main part of it, but when you're watching it, your experiences, your memories, your relationships, the stage of life that you're in, everything becomes a part of that film's experience and how it's going to impact you in life. Correct me if I'm wrong. And in Rajamouli's case, he's a hardcore masala filmmaker, one of our best visual storytellers, and that's why his films, they cut across all barriers no matter where you come from. And if you see his list of favorite films, you can see the influences that these films had, especially Lion King. Whether you watch Bahubali or RRR, you see that these films have become part of his DNA. So anyone is free to like or dislike a film, but to say that someone else should not like these films, it's not so cool. Which leads to number 2, elitism. In an ideal world, anyone should be able to create art and anyone should be able to appreciate that art. But unfortunately, since centuries, there are small groups of people, these gatekeepers who decide what works, what doesn't work, which artists are worthy of recognition and which artists are not. And it's the same thing with the film industry. Most of the time, the films that are loved by the masses are somehow considered inferior.
I think you should become a movie critic only if you like all genres, from masala to, you should look down on anything. If you look down on anything, then that means that you're already getting a bit snobbish.
Award juries or film festival committees who feel that only certain films made a certain way should be even considered cinema. They don't consider how much work goes into creating something that is loved by millions of people, that has struck a chord with millions of people, which honestly is a very, very difficult thing to do. They don't care about diversity or inclusivity, and what happens as a result is all these critically acclaimed films start looking the same. Like for example, if you take any Oscar film which has become like a template. They started looking the same, they started feeling the same, and they represent a very, very narrow perspective. One thing is, the viewership of the Oscars has been consistently falling over the years, and second thing is, the reason why RRR is working, at least one of the reasons why it's working, is because people are tired of watching something that they are not interested in when everything looks the same. Whether it's these lazy superhero films or these award-winning films. But anyways, does someone become worthy of an award just because they like Tarkovsky or Godard or Bergman or Ozu? If they're honest about liking Forrest Gump or Lion King, they somehow don't deserve an award? If this is not elitism, I don't know what is. And finally, I want to talk to you about this theory called the crab mentality. So I want you to imagine a bucket which is full of crabs. The thing about crabs is, when one tries to escape from the bucket, the crab that is below that will try to bring it down. So in the end, no crab gets out of the bucket. And this is not just relevant for crabs. This is relevant for humans across every single field, especially in cinema. In this context, whether you like RRR or not, an Indian filmmaker like Rajamouli getting recognition for his work is like getting recognition for our films as well. It'll open up new possibilities and new markets, just like how when Parasite won the Oscars, even though it's not the greatest film ever, even Koreans don't feel it's a great film, they know it's a good film. But when Parasite won, just observe in the last 2 years how much Korean content is there on OTT these days. Open up Netflix or Prime or Hotstar, whatever you want, and just see the amount of Korean content that exists today. So when something gets recognition on an international scale, many more new possibilities are created. So when an Indian filmmaker is getting recognition, the best thing you could do is to celebrate their achievement, to show your support. The second best thing you can do is, if you disagree, you can give constructive criticism and still show your support. The third best thing you can do is to completely disagree and just not say anything at all. It's not going to hurt anyone. But the worst thing you can do is to be negative, go onto social media, point out that this filmmaker doesn't deserve the recognition that he's getting. He doesn't deserve the victories that he's going to get, and try to bring him down. And Rajamouli is going to go ahead and get even more recognition, but you trying to bring him down on social media, apart from other reasons, just because of his taste in films, just makes you look bad. See, it's completely natural to feel jealousy or insecurity, especially in a creative field like the film industry. But like I said in another entire video about jealousy, you can go watch it over here. You can use jealousy to fuel your own work, to push yourself and your field upwards, or you can use it to try to pull someone else down. And if you do that, you're going to have to ask yourself what you're really adding, how long are you even going to be around, and how you're going to be remembered. But those were just my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Put it down in the comments. But for now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.